On Ion Sci-Fi, you only see a fraction of what's behind us, but this isn't just a set, it's an entire Starship simulator, and we thought you'd like to take a look around. Joining us now to give us a tour is Endeavour mission creator, Matt Moran. Matt, what's this all about?
Welcome, Raymond. This is what we call a training simulator. So it's designed to replicate all of the functionality that we'll see on our Starship, and it's designed to be immersive, but it's not an exact visual replica of the Starship that we're going to be taking out on our weekly adventures when we launch the Endeavour Mission TV show later on. We'll use this simulator to train and select the crew that we'll be taking out on those missions, but in the meantime, because it's a Starship simulator here in Sydney, we thought it would be a lot of fun for people to get a crew together, come in, choose a mission that they like, and spend a few hours exploring strange new worlds or battling strange aliens or enemies or whatever they like. So the simulator here is a pretty classic Star Trek layout, to be honest. It's got the major stations around the outside with the command center, the con, in the middle. And so I suppose a good starting point is the helm, which is right here behind us. So this is the helm. It's an impulse mode, which is where most navigation happens on missions. It's a sublight mode for getting around star systems. There are 3 panels here. The main panel in the middle is all about controlling engine output, both the amount of thrust that's applied, so how fast you're going, and the direction you're going in. And there are also indications here as to where you are in the star system. And there are some navigation aids here in order to tell you which way to point the ship.
What kind of training would someone need to use this?
I mean, you don't have to know how to do actual navigation. There are lots of tools on the console that help you. But you will need to get a feel for the sorts of tactics and maneuvers that you need in any given situation. So this is the tactical console, and at the moment it has 2 main functions. The first is MDAR, which is the space equivalent of sonar. Unlike most sci-fi, you don't automatically get told on long-range sensors where something is. You have to figure out where it is based on the EM that you see on this plot. And once you've done that, then you can target the object, which is the other aspect of this panel. This also controls the torpedo system. And once you have a target to shoot at, you can set up this console with a variety of different search patterns, launch ranges, closing velocities, and those kinds of things, which is called a firing solution, so that the tactical officer can go back to the con and recommend where the ship should be, how far away it should be, how fast it should be going, in order to get the best chance of the torpedo actually hitting its target.
What kind of person would be most interested in this console?
So tactical is probably one of the more popular stations in that it's where the action happens, and it's all about tracking down and hunting down an enemy and then killing them. So if you have that kind of interest, particularly if you play computer games, all that sort of thing, this is the kind of the classic computer game part of the simulation. So this is the engineering operations console. During normal cruise operations, you would probably have an operations officer here who would be responsible for allocating ship resources like sensor, compute, or if there was a shuttle launched or an away mission underway, the operations officer would manage that from here. And so during alert conditions, the operations officer would probably be joined by an engineer who has more advanced knowledge of ship systems. And so they can better manage damage control, for example, which is what you'd manage from these system panels here. And so when parts of the ship receive damage, it can also affect the power distribution system, knock out parts of it, and reduce the amount of power that's going to ship systems. And so the job of the engineer in those situations is to allocate power, not just on an operational level, but on an emergency level.
What kind of person would be best suited to use this console?
It would be someone who's interested in technical or engineering problem solving. If you've watched a lot of Star Trek, you'll know that it's always the engineers who come up with ingenious ways of solving crises by making the ship do something that it wasn't intended to do, or routing power this way or that way. And because this is a simulator and a very detailed simulator, it's actually designed to allow an engineer to do those precise things and come up with those sorts of ideas. So this is the science console, and it has multiple functions depending on where in the mission or what type of mission the ship is on. So it can be used to give you a map of where objects of interest are near the ship, and then the science officer can choose to do a more detailed scan of one of those objects, and it will present a 3D visualization. And then another example of a console is the orbital scan. This is a composite map made up from drone flyovers combined with AI. And basically what it does is relatively quickly allows you to build up an image of the terrain of a planet.
What kind of person would be best suited for this console?
I mean, there are multiple types of officer that would use this panel. There's the astrophysics officer who does the kind of the scanning space outside, drawing conclusions from that. Geophysics is more about the exploration of planets and that kind of thing as well, which is an important part of Endeavour's mission. And so that kind of person would want to be a geophysics officer. And you can have different officers and potentially even multiple officers working on the bridge or on the support team off the bridge as well.
And this is the con where the mission commander sits. And as you can see, it's in the center of the bridge where they have ready access to all of the other consoles. This panel here gives them an overview of what's going on inside and outside of the ship and tools for strategic decision making. So all you need is a crew and you could be on your first mission.